Welcome to the Backyard Professor videos. I love a book that makes you go, I love a thought-provoking idea that really jolts you, that makes you think outside of the groove that you're normally used to thinking in, that takes a familiar subject and gives you serious food for thought. This is my favorite thing in the whole world, to find an idea that just stimulates your cranium and makes you think through lots of ideas that you have studied and you understand, and someone comes along and they're telling you something, and then it goes pew and takes you off on a completely new perspective that just shocks you. I love that. I don't know if there's anything I enjoy more in the world, except maybe perhaps making these videos and sharing with you all this silly crap I'm reading all the time. This is fun. This is extremely thought-provoking. And this is one reason why I want to share it with you. Is God an atheist? Now, what a question. But consider the interesting idea I've just recently come across. Before the Christian dismisses atheism as irrational or condemns the atheist as immoral, he should consider the disturbing possibility that the God of Christianity is himself an atheist. And if this is true, it means that the Christian worships, obeys, and has devoted his life to an atheistic being who does not believe in any power superior to himself, never prays, is utterly without faith, and who does not acknowledge any authority, either cognitive or moral, external to himself. If theism is loosely defined as belief in a higher power, a mysterious being whose essential nature cannot be understood, whether in whole or in part, by the believer, then God is an atheist. He does not believe in a power higher than himself, nor can there be anything that he fails to understand. For nothing can be unknown or unknowable to an omniscient being. If theism is defined as the belief in a supernatural being, then God is an atheist. His own powers, though supernatural from a human viewpoint, are comprehensible to himself. Everything is natural from God's perspective. If theism involves a relationship of subordination and dependence between a theist and her object of veneration, then God is an atheist. He is a self-sufficient being who disbelieves in any power greater than himself. He worships nothing. He never prays, he never seeks forgiveness, and never acknowledges his own errors. If theism is the belief in a creator, or a first cause, who is ultimately responsible for one's own existence, then God is an atheist. He believes himself to have existed eternally, though, as Kant suggests, even God must occasionally wonder where he came from. If theism involves the belief in external moral authority, a being whose moral law is obligatory for his creatures, then God is an atheist. He does not believe in a higher law, nor does he think himself capable of doing wrong. He does not regard himself bound to respect the rights of any other being. God is morally autonomous, a law unto himself. God is therefore an atheist. Moreover, he is a positive atheist of the most dogmatic variety, for he claims to know with absolute certainty that there exists no being superior to himself. He is never troubled by doubt. He never re-examines any of his beliefs, and he never feels obliged to justify his beliefs. And this raises some further questions. Why, if God is an atheist, should we suppose that he disapproves of atheism among his creatures? Is not a benevolent father pleased when his children grow up to be like him? And how can the Christians condemn atheism per se without also condemning their atheistic God? Is not the atheist who strives to be like God more admirable than the Christians who merely believes in him? Is Satan a Christian? Satan is not an atheist. That much is crystal clear. For he believes in the God of Christianity. We thus have the intriguing spectacle of a battle between two titans, with God the atheist on the side of good, and Satan the theist on the side of evil. And if the Bible is to be believed, the atheist will ultimately triumph over the theist. Is Satan the theist also a Christian? Apparently so, because a Christian is defined in terms of his beliefs, not his actions. Satan clearly believes in the central tenets of Christianity. He believes, for example, that Jesus, the Son of God, was sacrificed to redeem the sins of mankind. For if Satan does not believe this, why did he tempt Jesus in an effort to sabotage his divine mission? He also believes in the resurrection of Jesus, in the power of God to work miracles, and in the existence of a heaven and a hell that he calls home. Satan, a major player in many biblical events, does not have the least doubt about the veracity of God's Word. Indeed, it is impossible to name one belief of the best Christian that Satan does not share. We may therefore conclude that Satan is a Christian, despite his rebellious spirit and competitive zeal. No one is perfect after all. Now, is that not a jolt? When I read that, I really thought about it. What this is trying to do is get us to explore, at least to think about our assumptions. And I love that. Your knowledge is only as good as your weakest assumptions. And as we explore the logical carry-through of what we think we know, regardless of what subject it is, we begin to weed out the bad assumptions, the weak assumptions, the completely false assumptions that we have spent years building our decks of cards of knowledge upon. And as we replace those weak assumptions with better assumptions, we build better knowledge. And the only way to do this in a material world, in a rationalistic, realistic, honest fashion, is to always test our assumptions and continue pressing forward to learning. You never arrive at the moment where you know the truth. We know many, many, many truths, and as Karl Popper did properly say, science is tentative forever. You never get to a final destination in truth. But that doesn't mean what we know now is faulty or wrong. We can build up on what we say and believe and think as we progress ever onward. Right? When you stop learning and stop thinking through, and when you stop trying to think at all and just simply believe everything you're told, you're on the royal road to ignorance. So these ideas are designed to make you go, They're sort of odd, aren't they? They're kind of funny. They really are. And yet there is a serious message to these, isn't there? This is why I like studying all points of view. Because if you only study in one particular tradition and stay in one particular groove, you're only going to know how to think in a certain way. And you'll only use the logic that a particular group thinks about, and never see another angle, never see another approach, never understand why people who can read and study the same stuff you do come to such different conclusions that you do. And that's critical to do. Instead of keeping the biblical and medieval point of view of convert or die heretic, we need to recognize the significance, the importance, the critical realization that not everyone thinks alike. And it's not because someone's wicked while someone's righteous. That's not it at all. People have different experiences. People read different books. People belong to different nations. They're raised up in different cultures, and they have different views, different religions, different nationalities. Different is the reality. The idea of trying to force people to believe the way you do is illogical. Never going to happen. It doesn't need to. What we need is greater width of neighborliness. What we need is greater kindness and a lot less judgment about people because of what they think or believe. Well, it's not like us, so they're wicked, we're righteous. Because they think the same thing. Did you know that no matter what religion you belong to, you're going to hell? Did you know that? So am I. Everyone on earth is going to hell. If you're not a Baptist, you're going to hell. But you see, from the Catholic point of view, if you're not a Catholic and accept her traditions and interpretations of the Scriptures, you're going to hell. If you're not a Mormon, or if you're not a Jew, or if you're not an Episcopalian or whatever, you're going to hell. From someone else's theology. It doesn't matter how spiritual you are. You know, spirituality is basically a means of conformity. You know, how spiritual you are depends on how close to a religious system that you belong to that you are conforming to. Right? It's a very subjective thing. It's completely subjective. There is no objective way or standard of measure to tell who is spiritual and who's not. Because if I am absolutely doing everything I can in my religion, I am a spiritual giant. But I'm going to hell from the Baptist point of view. Straight to hell. Because I belong to the wrong religion. So see? I'm going to go to heaven, and I'm going to go to hell. And so are every one of you. You're all going to heaven, and you're all going to hell. Because you don't belong to the right religion, according to a different religion. Because every religion thinks they're right. And they're enticed, I'll say, by this prospect of glorious heaven. Or else they're scared to death because of the fear of hell. And that's where we're all going anyway. Because every religion thinks they're correct. Every religion knows that God talks to them and that they're right. We assume we're right. I mean, we're logical thinkers. We're fairly rational. We hold full-time jobs. We raise a family. We do what's right. We live moral lives. We don't cheat and steal and lie and kill, etc. We help the little old lady across the street. We open the doors for the gals. We show politeness and all that. We're good people. So we can't be wrong. We're right, and everybody else has the wrong idea about God or Jesus or heaven or hell. And every single person out there judges and critically analyzes every other religion very carefully with a fine-tooth comb, because you're wrong in this doctrine and you're wrong that way and you don't have this that way, and oh, if you read the Hebrew you would know this, and oh well, the Greek doesn't translate that way. You're wrong, I'm right, so I'm going to hell, I'm going to heaven, and you're going to hell. But every religion says that, and every one of them claims they're from God. So what's the problem? Just what is the problem? Something's wrong. Don't you think? Seriously? So thanks for watching my videos. I'll tell you who this is next time. I've got some more I want to share with him. Thanks for watching my videos, and as usual, I will see you in the next video, and I hope you have a great, a happy, a wonderful, and fabulously informed life. And I'll see all of you in hell.